You're late, man. You're late
Shit.
for a very important date. What's up, Facebook? Easy Flip Guys here. A little bit late on this Friday afternoon.
Yes, we are actually about 2 hours later than we normally start. And we are, the reason for that is we had to deal with squatters. Well,
Sure
actually,
did.
I didn't have to deal with squatters, but Chris had to deal with squatters here today. So we want to just have a conversation about that. We are going to make this a little bit shorter than we normally do because, once again, we started a whole lot later than we normally do. So it just is what it is. But let's go into that. So squatters, I mean, we've had a issue with squatters. Well, let me rephrase this. If you are in real estate, you will eventually have an issue with squatters. Why don't you tell people what squatters are?
Squatters, her name is Crystal Metheny. Our guy Corey from last episode. Go check out last week's episodes, guys. It was awesome. Really,
Well,
really
actually, that wasn't last week's episode. That was Monday's episode.
Oh, yeah.
And we had Mr. Corey
This is my
Thompson.
mind.
Yes, Corey Thompson was in the house here. He was all the way from Texas, and he does mobile homes and mobile home parks. So because we met him over the weekend, he had to drive back. We actually had a special show on Friday, which wasn't an actual Flipping Friday episode. So this is why this one's episode 63, but it did last about an hour. We lost signal there, so I would highly suggest you guys check out both parts. There's a part 1 and a part 2. But he was talking about that, and he had mentioned, because he deals with mobile homes, Crystal Metheny, right?
Crystal Metheny, that's her name, and that's so true. It's a really sad drug, but anyways, squatters are people who break into your house and they live there. You know,
Yes.
They need a place, whether they're there for a couple hours getting high, or whether they're like this guy and he has a bed made.
Everything. So before we actually get into the stories, we got John Beluski, who says, hey guys, what's up? Hey, what's up, John? We got Amy Shelton. She says, oh my God, ask Brian. Amy, we will definitely get into that story. We had a squatter story where Amy helped me out here in Phoenix before she moved on. We got Jonathan Ponciano in the house. Thank you for joining us. We got Ryan Harper. Hey, Ryan, what's up, guys? She said, what's up, fellas? Corey Thompson talking about you. Yes, we were talking about Mr. Corey Thompson. We got Kelly Rojas. Hey, what's up, Kelly? How you doing?
Thanks for reaching out.
Yes, thanks for reaching out. Still have your husband reach out to me so we can talk about what we talked about. Torsten, I'm sure he's had some.
Oh, yeah.
Amy Shelton here has tagged Torsten and said, right, and this is true. If you are in the real estate industry, at some point you will deal with squatters. Now, squatters are a lot more common in lower class neighborhoods, lower middle class neighborhoods than they are in higher class neighborhoods. However, it doesn't mean that it doesn't happen to higher class neighborhoods.
Yeah, it's happened. It happens before, and really, it's how sly can they be? You know, how much not like a squatter can they look? This guy had cleaned up the front yard.
Well, so basically, a squatter is somebody that moves into your house that is not supposed to be there. A large majority of the time, they are crackheads or whatever the case might be. But there's also people known as professional squatters. Now, people, when they go into your property and they're not supposed to be there, they're known as a squatter. A lot of times, these people will profile houses. They'll see that they're vacant for whatever reason. Like I said, it could be the low-end bum who's just looking to stay in the shade or looking to stay warm in the wintertime, or it could be somebody looking to professionally squat in your property. A lot of states have what's known as squatter rights.
Yeah.
And squatter rights are fucked up because basically they give it's part of that possession is 9/10 of the law shit. So if somebody comes into your house, breaks in while you're on vacation, change the locks, when you come home and you call the cops, most of the time they won't be able to just kick them out.
Yeah, which is insane.
Because you have to go through the eviction process and everything. It's just fucking insane.
Yeah, they deal with that kind of crap in like California and a lot of these other really liberal places. Arizona doesn't put up with that shit. Like the cops weren't playing. They make them get out right away.
Nice. So we have over here, we got Amy Shelton, who says her current flip is in a condo and you need a pass card to enter. No squatters. Yes. And that is a great way to not have squatters. But unfortunately, for a lot of people in real estate, their squatters is something that just comes, it's just part of the business. We got Manuel Ariano who says, hey, did they have Crystal Bethany? Yes, they did. What's up, guys? By the way, this is Kelly's husband. Hey, Manuel, thank you for joining us. I would love to chat with you after the show. So definitely thank you for joining us here. Amy says, Torsten doesn't like to be an ass nicely. Didn't like to be asked nicely to leave, so the squatter flooded Torsten's flip.
Damn.
Wow. And that happens. I mean, a lot of times you get people that break into your house. Sometimes you get people that were scammed. So sometimes you get people that were responded to an ad on Craigslist or something along those lines where the person was saying, hey, we'll give you rent. Just come in with some cash, blah, blah, blah. You'll rent it for X amount a month. A lot of times they'll do really cheap rent to make it seem like, it's a really good deal. And shit, sometimes these people have been ripped off for whatever, $1,000, $1,500 in down payment to move stuff, buy furniture, all kinds of things. And a lot of times people just don't really verify who they're dealing with. So that is also a possibility of dealing with squatters. Once you have that, or if they make some type of fake lease, they'll be able to then turn on utilities, which is freaking crazy.
You mean like this? Dude had this lease on him, and they did their homework. They had the Caro Enterprises. They had my right LLC name, and then they had it all, and they signed it. Yeah, I mean, what he just described is exactly what happened. Dude was a meth head for sure. But he called off this number. So a guy stole my lockbox when I was in Hawaii. They stole the lockbox off the door. They cut the lockbox open. So they had a key. Nothing was even broken. I thought we were going to have to board up the windows, but nothing was even broken. They had the key, and then, he put up an ad and said, hey, this is a fixer-upper. So if you help me fix it up, I'll let you live here for super cheap. And 2 weeks later, all his crackhead buddies were there too, so that's when the neighbors called me and we figured it out. So they lived there for 2 weeks.
Yes, and dealing with squatters is something that is going to happen to you to a few things. If you're doing flips or if you're doing buy and holds for whatever reason. A lot of times when you're doing a flip, sometimes you may not, you might take it down and you thought you had money to complete it and you're not able to complete it.
Right.
So I have a property that had sat on the market for a while before I was able to complete it. It is what it is. It happens. That happens. Sometimes you have a rental property that for whatever reason needs to be rehabbed or is having trouble renting or whatever the case might be, a property that you have sitting there. Sometimes you may just buy it that way. Sometimes you're buying it from a wholesaler, and the property had been vacant for a while. So by the time you go there, the wholesaler buys it at a auction or something, wholesales it to you. It's sight unseen. You go there to open up and start working on your property, and all of a sudden these freaking squatters are in there. Sometimes they leave right away. Sometimes they don't leave right away. Sometimes, it just depends on the different ways. So if you've ever dealt with a squatter, we want to hear from you.
Yeah, Corey's telling us. Corey just joined us, who we had the discussion with on Monday, and he says, so you're evicting squatters. So I guess that means they must have been there a while. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about that while we discuss this topic, Corey?
Yeah, so we have squatters getting evicted in Fort Worth today. Yeah, please let us know a little bit about that. So, guys, as a wholesaler, I've dealt with squatters. As somebody that was an investor, fix and flipper, I dealt with squatters. And a lot of times when you deal with squatters, as I said, sometimes you're going to get people that are just going to be like, oh, crap, I'm just a bum. I didn't really care. I was just trying to stay off the heat or whatever the case might be, and they'll just gladly leave. They don't want to call the cops. They don't want to deal with it. It's just, it is what it is. Sometimes you have people that are not professional squatters, but that are looking to make it a little bit more difficult. People that are, usually on drugs, people that are usually on crystal meth, more than anything. I mean, I would probably say crystal meth, crack, one of those type of drugs. We have a lot of those scenarios. And a lot of times those people try to get aggressive, confrontational, loud. There's a lot of different scenarios that can happen with these squatters. I know that when I was wholesaling, we were actually dealing with a lot of these squatters, and my buyers wouldn't buy it unless the squatters were moved out. So I got pretty good at dealing with squatters. Let me see here. We got Yara Patino who says, "Cuando se casaron?" She's responding to our buddy Manuel. They're laughing. I was talking to our good friend Kelly Rojas, who's been a consistent viewer of us here since we started. She actually joins the 2% Club, or she started going to the 2% Club, which is something that I recommend for anybody here in the Phoenix metropolitan area. It's just somewhere where we sit down, talk about mindset, talk about just the millionaire mind and personal growth, personal development type thing. So she had mentioned to me about her pair. They had a baby. She called it her husband, but I guess they're technically not married, but they've been together forever. So it is what it is. I mean, it's let me see. Kelly Rojas says, "Pon atención." Basically, she's telling them pay attention. So we got Casey in the house. Hey, Casey, thank you for joining us.
See you tonight, man.
Let me see. Eldon, he says, I squatted in my house for a while, the house that I used to own. And that was actually something that had happened before. Well, I'm assuming, and you can let us know what happened there before, Eldon. But I know a lot of people did that when they did short sales or when they got stuck, like when the market crashed.
Oh, man, yeah. People, when that happened, the banks completely would lose some houses in the shuffle. Yeah. They wouldn't do anything for months and months, if not years.
So a lot of times people were able to squat in the properties that they had. And then if you came across, a lot of times those people used to be the homeowners. And I've dealt with those people before, once you talk to them and you say, hey, man, we're the new owner, we bought it. They'll be like, yeah, I knew that this day would come. I was just living it out here as long as I could. So, yeah, just let me know when we need to move out. And for the most part, we didn't get confrontation. Sometimes they would try to act dumb and be like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I still own this property. I never lost it, blah, 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 blah. And then you would have to just show them the paperwork, and they would just fess up to what it was.
Yeah, they know, man. They post those things right on your door with heavy tape.
Exactly.
You definitely saw that.
We got Elizabeth Navarrete who says, I've dealt with squatters. Very interesting short story, actually. Elizabeth, by all means, feel free to share your story. So did Corey, feel free to share your story. Eldon said he let it go in foreclosure. There you go. Exactly.
Typical story. Yeah.
Guys,
not bad. Not a bad idea.
He lived there for 12 months. Yeah.
Wow.
And once again, I'm not saying anything about that situation. I'm saying that I dealt with that situation. But squatters come in all kinds of different ways. And as an investor, you are going to have to deal with those situations. If you have somebody that broke into a property because the property was vacant for a while, because the seller was out of the state, out of the country, whatever the case might be, there's always going to be scenarios like that where people break in and they find a way to get creative and either try to scam somebody out of money or try to scam you out of doing it. And I will tell you that we got Leah Marie here in the house. Hey, Leah, thank you for joining us. I will tell you that in my personal experience, it's a lot easier to catch bees with honey than it is with vinegar. And some fucking a few $5 pizzas from Little Caesars and a case of beer goes a long way when dealing with these people. A lot of times when people are breaking into a property and they're squatting at a property, they're not going to be the brightest bulb in the bunch. They're usually trying to get something for free, and they're usually not a big fan of law enforcement. They usually don't want to deal with police. They have their own reasons for not wanting to deal with police. But a lot of times that's going to be the case. So you want to make sure that you use that to your advantage. A lot of times I would go and I would speak to somebody, and instead of becoming in all aggressive, I would say, hey, how's it going, guys? Hey, my name is Brian. I'm the guy buying this house, and I see that you guys are living here. I just wanted to ask what's going on. And I always took the nice approach. I wanted to make sure you guys weren't scammed, that you guys signed something, oh my God, if you guys signed something, let me know who that is. You got to have a phone number or a name for the person that did that. I want to make sure that we get these people. A lot of times that's not the case,
right.
But you come in from the nice side, they're a lot more apt to be open with you and talk with you. And a lot of times you'll find out, they may not directly come out and tell you, hey, we just broke in. But they're like, no, that's not the case. We just kind of been living here. It was empty, or sometimes they'll make up a story. Well, I'm babysitting the house for a friend, or I knew the previous owner, and he told me that I could stay here. He gave me permission. So they'll come up with these stories, and you could just say, hey, you know what? I'm buying the property that the previous owner may have given you permission, but I'm gonna end up buying it, and I'm gonna need you to move. So, I would rather be something nice. Is there any way that we can help out? Maybe I can rent a moving truck for you. Maybe I can get some buddies to come and help you. Maybe get you some pizza. Maybe get you, a case of beer. And that way we can if we can get you out by a certain date, that'd be awesome. If they're a little bit harder to deal with that, you can do what's known cash for keys, which is basically, hey, if you give us if we give you X amount of money, if you give us the keys by this particular date.
Yeah, when I was working in the foreclosure crisis, I was working with the bank-owned, with a couple banks, working with them. So we did cash for keys all the time, man. And it's definitely much easier going in as the good guy. Like, oh, the bank, yeah, I can't believe these guys. Yeah, they foreclosed, but I'm allowed to give you up to X amount of dollars. And that, that really helps out. A lot of times they need that cash. So. And then giving them a few bucks.
People get defensive if you come in aggressive from the beginning. So we got Eldon here who says, yeah, he just saved the money for those 12 months. Best decision ever. He says he wish he got pizza and beer.
Yeah, a lot of my short sale clients, we would tell them, like, if they were like, oh, I don't care, we're not gonna do anything. I'm like, start the short sale process, because at the very least, it's going to prolong. You're going to be able to stay in your house for free for at least 3 to 6 more months. Save that money. That's right. It was a tough time back then.
So we have Leah Marie here who says, yes, so she's got a story. It took 3 months to get them out in Portland. It was 8 homeless people. They said they had a contract with the girlfriend that was living there before the restraining order. That happens too. Sometimes they say, well, I knew the guy that used to rent here, and I got to deal with him, or they'll make up all these different stories, which most of the time is not true. Okay, just know that sometimes it does happen where you get a fake lease like this, or a fake rental agreement like that. But most of the time, they're full of shit. She said the cops were called 22 times. Man, they cleared out the house. 2 people were arrested. Even gave them an extra hour to leave. Yeah, it happens. A lot of times you get people that refuse to leave the property. For whatever reason, they say, either they actually signed a contract or something, they actually put money, they actually did some type of work or repair to the property, or they're just using that as an excuse to stay. You will have people that will refuse to leave regardless, even if you threaten them and say, hey, a lot of times I was like, look, man, I would rather just pay you the money, because I'm going to have to hire a lawyer. I'm going to have to call the fucking cops. They might have kicked down the door. I may have to replace the door. Like, I would rather just pay you the money to leave. If I get a lawyer, you don't win. I don't win. The only person that wins is a lawyer. So just keep the money in your pocket instead of giving it to the lawyers, right? Absolutely. And I would always come in that way. And like I said, it would work most of the time, not all the time. And sometimes you do have scenarios like Leah. Had to get elder abuse case manager come threaten them with charges, and they finally left. And that's something that you may have to end up doing, Leah. As I said, what I was talking about, that has worked for the majority of the time, but sometimes it doesn't happen. Yeah. Sometimes they're just assholes. Sometimes they're just tweakers. Sometimes they don't care. Sometimes that's just a way for them to extend out the process and to create some type of phony lease. Sometimes they'll make up the lease themselves because they know the rules, so they can actually turn on utilities. That happens a lot.
Sometimes you got to get dirty with these people too. I mean, we've also had a scenario where, we met muscle with muscle, and I don't want to get into details, but we just got rid of them, get out.
And that happens. I mean, and we got Keon Gray, we got Felix Corral. Leah here says she never thought of cash for keys. What would happen if they took the money, then they stayed? You don't give them the money until they give you the key and they're walking out of the house.
Yeah, so, cash for keys.
Yeah, so
they're gone. Everything's boarded. You change, and then they give you the keys. You have a locksmith right there. Change the locks and then solve the damn problem of the vacant house.
Yeah, but if that was the case, you don't give them the cash until they give you the keys, and you definitely have a locksmith there to change the locks right away.
Oh yeah.
Board up, whichever way that they were getting in, and make sure you lock that. So make sure you put that there. And then sometimes, as he said, guys, sometimes being nice doesn't help. So you may have to be a little bit meaner.
It's all about their personality.
Amy alluded to a deal that we helped out earlier. Now, this was over here in the neighborhood of Sunny Slope, and there was a squatter there. According to him, he had been given permission by the previous owner to live there to look after the property. The property had already been stripped. The property had already been gone through left and right.
So no utilities, right?
No utilities, no water, no absolutely
So
nothing.
you don't want to think about where they're going to the bathroom.
Yes, I mean all the toilets were completely filled with shit. The outside, the yards all smell like piss. It was disgusting. However, we came in and we bought the property. And when we were buying the property, we went to go and we noticed that there was a guy there. We spoke with him. He told us his story, and we said, all right, well, that doesn't matter. I need you to get out. Okay, yeah, but the owner, and I'm like, I don't care. You know, we need you to get out. Yeah, I'll get out. So he would leave, and then he would come back. So he would leave for a day or two, and then he would come back. And then a few days later, we would come back and take a look at the property, and same thing. It was just like, nope. Now, eventually, that particular property, it took me a lot longer to sell than I thought it was going to. So I found somebody that would buy it, but they wouldn't buy it unless it was cleaned out.
I know. Right? You had to do a ton of work on that.
Because it was a lot of freaking crap on that property. It was a lot of crap on that property. So in between those two times, we came back, and the guy was back there again. So I had hired somebody to help manage the process of getting all the workers to come in and take everything out. And initially, we were giving away a lot of the stuff for free. There was a lot of wood and a lot of other material in the back that we just said, instead of paying for a dumpster and paying for moving, let's just pay people to come in and they can take whatever the fuck they want for free. Let's go get it the fuck out of here. This guy kept on coming. The lady kept on talking to him. He kept on giving her a story of how he was leaving, and then she just kept on. And all the time, and that particular person was Amy. So it was a pain in the ass dealing with him. Eventually, she was just getting mad. She called the cops. They would just come and say, well, there's nothing we can really do.
Drug addicts are liars, man. That's why you got to tell the cops that they broke in, they vandalized it, they're tearing it up inside. You got to give them a reason to take action against these people.
So I tried doing the nice thing. I tried saying, man, let me know. He's like, well, I got some stuff in there. And I'm like, dude, get your stuff out of here. I'm giving you some time. I'll help you wherever. He was not going for that. So I had to get a little bit mean, and then I came in and I started saying, you know what, if you don't do it, I'm going to call cops, and I'm going to get an attorney. They're going to come and they're going to lock you up. They're going to do this. The guy just, he said, even every time he would come back just, a week or so later, and I was getting tired. Eventually, I got really, really tired of the whole thing. I hired my guys to come in and start getting rid of everything. And we found them at the property, and I just started getting rid of everything. So we called the cops. I said, look, man, this guy's here. He's been just completely messing with up. We've already kept on telling him. He keeps on saying that he had some agreement. We keep on telling him that we're the new owner, that he's not allowed here. He's now trespassing. So the cop finally came. He was like, dude, you need to get the hell out of here. He was like, do you want us to press charges? And I was like, you know what? I don't really want to press charges. And the guy's like, I need to get my stuff back. If you could just do me a favor, let me go back in for 10 minutes. And I said, all my guys, I was like, look, do me a favor, get all his shit and throw it in the fucking dumpster right here. Like right in front of him. All his fucking shit, and make sure you fucking break it so he's not able to come back and pick it out of the fucking dumpster. And the guy was like fucking throwing a hissy fit, and he was like trying to tell the cops, no, like do something. And he's like, dude, it's their property. Like they already warned you. You're lucky I'm not fucking taking you down. It was fucking crazy. Amy reminded me of the story. They traded. So some guy, there was a car on the front yard, on the front driveway that belonged to the previous owner. Now he said, hey man, we're going to come get the car. And I was like, look, after we buy the property, I can't guarantee anything. But he kept on saying, no, I'm going to go get the car. So we gave him a few extra weeks. Well, according to him, the next day that he was going to come get it the next day, but somebody literally traded his car in the front for fucking drugs.
Nice.
Somebody literally just fucking do it. A fucking squatter I'm assuming it was that guy, or the neighbors were fucking full of tweakers and what do we call them?
Crystal methany.
Crystal methany, man. Oh my God. It was freaking insane. But sometimes you have to deal with that. Sometimes you do have to have some really nice, large friend come and knock on their door and not so kindly tell them that he is going to escort them out. There's times where I've told people that I was going to be doing that. I was going to personally throw them the fuck out, and I was going to toss their shit. There was a scenario where, let me see, Dale Don said we removed doors and windows and we went to work, moved immediately. Yes.
That's one way to do it.
There was a scenario where I actually cut off utilities.
Yeah.
So we proved that whatever lease they had was not right, and then we cut off utilities. Within a few days, they were gone. And we knew that there was happening. I actually, Dale, I did that once. I literally unscrewed the door. So we had a scenario where we were buying a property. It was a duplex on one side and a duplex on the other side. The one duplex on this side was that was connected. The other two was like two separate buildings. So it wasn't technically a duplex. It was just two small units on a lot. But the duplex here, there was a pair of tweakers, a couple of tweakers that were living there. There were a couple. And we went there and we were trying to get information, trying to get access. The seller was telling us that, hey, man, I got these guys living across the street. They said that they would look after the property. They have access to the houses right there. Go grab the keys from them. So we went, we talked. They were like, yes, we'll be out. They had a lot of shit. They had the unit next door filled with shit, and I'm like, look, man, you guys, you have till this date. Oh yeah. We'll be out. And I just remember the lady because she was fucking disgusting. I mean, she was fucking nasty. The way her face looked, her teeth were all rotten and stuff. Just
don't do meth,
disgusting.
Guys. Meth is a bad job, yes. Very bad drug.
But they refused to leave. Then we actually bought the property, and they were still, oh yeah, give us to this day. We'll be out by, give us 2 more days. We'll be out. So the 2 more days came by, and they were not there. And I had a guy come over here and just started drilling we drilled the door out. We took everything out and we told them, get the fuck out of here. You guys got literally until the dumpster comes to grab your shit. And we started grabbing all their shit and throwing it out to the front lawn. We just threw everything out there. We're like, whatever you get, you don't want, leave it here because we're going to throw all this shit away. Mm-hmm. And whatever you don't get by the time that we start tossing it, then you lose it. And that was the way that it was. You can only push a man so far.
We give and give chance after chance after chance.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, we get pissed off. I'm not going to deal with that shit anymore.
Yes. And it was crazy. Amy was there. She was talking with the seller because he was all freaked out about the car. So she said she had it sold, and the guy the seller was coming, or the buyer was coming the next morning, and at sunset the car vanishes, and there was a big pile of needle there. Let me see.
I'm sure that was true, and it would have been true the day after that, and the day after that, and the week after that. Oh, I had it sold, man.
Amy says, did Torsten tell you about the squatters opening our office and putting that sign, the yard sale, selling the content of our commercial building? Amy, Torsten did tell me about that scenario. He had a commercial building, and this is exactly what happened. Somebody put a freaking yard sale sign and was selling things of the commercial building. Yeah, well, that commercial building had been freaking vacant for a while. And that's what happens, guys. When you get vacant properties, people do start kind of looking at them. They start kind of casing them, and you have those things. So if you're dealing with vacant properties, if you're buying properties at auctions, if you're buying properties in lower-end neighborhoods, if you're buying properties from tax liens or other foreclosures where the property has been vacant for a long time, out-of-state sellers, that becomes very, very common. They rent it out. The renters trash it. They don't have the money to come in and fix it, or feel like fixing it, or feel like dealing with it, leave it there vacant, and then people start breaking in. We got Andres Molina, who says, we always got gun on our waist. As soon as they see it, they're out in 5 minutes. Every time play the good person, we always get fucked over. No more Mr. Nice Guy. And that does happen. I know Andres deals a lot in that type of neighborhood that I talked about here in Phoenix. You know, a lot of South Phoenix, a lot of West Phoenix properties, and that does happen. And you know, we are here legally able to carry guns. Yeah, some of our viewers are not in Arizona, so they may not have that option, Andres. But definitely works. And as I said, I mean, I believe in giving people a chance once and then being a complete fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And I've never gotten burned in the sense where I paid somebody money and then they didn't move out or whatever the case might be. I did have some people that attempted to take advantage but never got there because I wasn't going to pay for anything until they were out. So it happens.
That's right.
Let me see. They came in through the skylight of the roof like Spider-Man, Amy said. And they did, man. It was crazy. That deal was a crazy deal. The way that the house was set up, it was just a crazy scenario. And that's what happens when you deal with squatters. I know Chris had that scenario. And as I said, you may have this scenario where there's a scam artist who sees that your property is vacant. They break the lockbox. They take the key in there. They do some research as to who owns the property. They make a fake phony lease that they sign. They make out of some, you know, down payment money. And it sucks. You know, it sucks when you go in there and you come to find out that these people were genuinely getting screwed and they genuinely lost $500, $600, $700 that they put in a deposit. There's nothing you can do other than get them out. And once again, you could decide to be like, hey, man, let me help you out. Or you could also decide not to.
All right.
And, you know, I've had scenarios where I've told them, hey, you're going to be out if, you know, I'll have a mover for you this day. And somebody shows up and they're not answering the door. They're not willing to leave. All right, cool. The next day we come, boom, boom, boom. Hey, get the fuck out. You don't want to get the fuck out. We'll carry you out. And that just is what it is.
So this is how you know if Crystal Metheny has been living in your home. Find copper. Lots and lots of copper. Which really sucks because, you know, they don't get anything for this and it costs a lot of money to replace it.
Yeah, and if you have squatters in your property, eventually they're going to get stripped, meaning they're going to get stripped of the copper wiring normally used for electric.
Yeah.
They're going to get stripped for the plumbing.
Wire right here.
They use the metal plumbing tubes. They strip that. They strip whatever they can, anything of value that they can resell for whatever reason they can. So if you have squatters in your property, within a certain time frame, your stuff is going to get started stripping, if not being stripped on day one. And then without fail, there's always going to be some type of problem. My very first fix and flip that I bought, the guy had it vacant there for a while. Squatters, it was wintertime. They started getting into their house. They decided that they wanted to stay warm, started a trash can fire in the living room, and eventually caught the roof on fire. So all these things can happen if you're dealing with squatters. So unfortunately, as I said, we got a Tina Pettis that says, hey, guys. Hey, Tina.
Hey,
hopefully we should be closing today. If not, we should be closing on Monday, and then we'd be ready to rock and roll. I'm excited to get moving. So let William know that we'll be contacting him about that. Guys, if anybody else has any type of experience with squatters, please make sure that you put it on there. We'll go back, we'll comment on there. Somebody else will be able to share their experiences. But we just wanted to, once again, drop knowledge about things that come in real estate. It isn't all pretty, guys. It isn't all roses. It's not all big checks. It's not all, you know, hey, man, you're going to go in, you're going to do a little carpet and paint, sell this thing in 2 weeks, you're rolling 50 grand deep, 100 grand deep profit. It doesn't work that way. It works that way sometimes, but not all the times. And there is a dirty section of real estate, and a lot of that is squatters. If you deal with professional squatters, I would suggest you get an attorney, and they'll tell you how to kick them out. Professional squatters are just like what they sound. They professionally do this. They know all the laws. They know what they can do, what they can get away with legally, how far they can push it. And in some states are worse than others. I know California is a pretty bad state for squatters, where if a squatter gets into your property, it's probably going to be at least 6 months before you can evict somebody from your property. And that just fucking sucks. So if you're in one of those states, make sure you take extra precaution with your properties. If you are in a gun carry state and you are a gun owner, by all means, make sure that you're flashing that.
Throw it on your hip.
Yeah, throw it on your hip.
And if you're from Canada visiting Phoenix, don't worry. They're allowed to have the gun on their hip.
Yes.
Canadians kind of freak out on that.
Yes, they do. And it's just, and if that's not your style, as I said, guys, in my experience, what works the best is attracting them with honey. And if that doesn't work, get vinegar or get sour on their ass right away. Don't play no games. Don't give nobody no extensions. If you said, hey, get the fuck out, they'll be out by Friday. You work with them and you say, hey, all right, man, yeah, I'll have all my stuff by Friday, I promise. Then they call you Friday. Hey, Friday afternoon. Hey, we weren't able to get all of our stuff. Is it cool if we're done by Monday? Nope. I told you I'll have some guys over there tomorrow. It's funny how fucking fast they leave, how most of the time when you show up there the next morning, all their shit is gone. Yep. So just make sure that you're taking these tips. As always, guys, we're not pitching anything. We're not selling anything. We're not doing anything. We don't have any other ill intentions other than just putting out content. So if you like this, if you found this useful, make sure that you share this. And hopefully next week we will be. I'm not sure if we're going to be on next week. We have Greg Cook in the house. We may be having to fly out to Florida to meet Mr. Greg Cook here shortly.
So check this. I said, Greg, you're the man for bringing us this deal. We're going to take you out to a nice seafood dinner. And he said, nope, my wife cooks better seafood than any restaurant in town.
Perfect. So, there we go.
Homemade meal.
That I'm excited for that. So we'll be talking about that here next time you see us. We're probably going to take the next few weeks off. We might make a special appearance sometime within the month of July just to update you guys with the apartment complex that we have in Arkansas and the mobile home park that we're going to be flying out to Florida for. We may do a special live video when we get to the apartment complex in Florida, all depending on the signal and whatever, whatever the connection is right there, the Wi-Fi or whatever that's going to look like. But guys, we are looking forward to keep on sharing content. We're going to take, as I said, we're going to take a few weeks off for summer break. I'm planning on taking my kids and my nephews out camping. Chris is probably going to do something with his kids. So we want to make sure that you stay in the loop, make sure that you're liking, make sure that you're following. And we got John Loyster in the house. Hey, John, let me know about the taxes that we talked about. Let me know about when you want to go smoke some cigars and talk some business. We got Michelle Hooner in the house. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for liking the video. And once again, guys, we need to head out. It's already much later than we're used to doing. This is Cashflow Chris. This is BP the Mentor. Once again, reminding you to flip for cash, but more importantly, hold for wealth.
Hold for wealth. Peace out, everybody.
Oh, yeah.